could spread your love? What if your sweetness could reach everyone? There'd be no wars. Maybe the birds will sing about your heart. Maybe the trees will whisper the word. Maybe the sun will spread your joy to the ones who lost their hope. Fill my head with roses. I can't help but dream away. Standing on a field with you and flowers everywhere. Maybe there is a star with your name. One thing I know is that there should be. There is no one a heart as pure, no, not like yours. Dreaming of you. Dreaming of you. Your smile. What if the wind could spread your love? What if your sweetness could reach everyone? There'd be no wars. Dreaming of you.
How are we doing? Welcome back to my channel. I have missed you. I have not been around the last couple of weeks for a couple of different reasons. One of them is that a friend of mine was in town from Alabama. So I soaked up my time with her and we did lots of fun things. And I just didn't really want to interrupt that with filming or with anything else. So I did film some stuff. If future me thinks correctly, we'll put it at the beginning of this just so you can kind of see what you've missed. But yeah, we had a really good time. She was here for a couple of days. We went to a winery, we went to the aquarium, and I had never been to the St. Louis Aquarium before, and it was really fun. It was really nice. And so that was great. And I took Cadence with me because Charlie has already been to the aquarium a couple of times. So they were not upset that they missed out on that. That was last week. So prior to that, my mental health hasn't really been great. Like I haven't really had a desire to read. I haven't really had a desire to vlog. I hadn't really wanted to do any of that. And so I just didn't. I took a little time off and a little time away to try to get through my slump. And I'm back and I am through my slump for the most part. I mean, every day is different. There are days I just don't want to get out of bed. So I go to work, I do my thing, and then I come home and I sit on the couch and nothing gets done. And it's a lot of fun. Depression is interesting. And then the anxiety alone is also interesting. Because it's some days I'm like, let's go do things, let's do it, let's go. And then I'm like, nope, I'm gonna stay home. I don't want to do anything. I'm not good. And for a long time, like I used to not want to call and like order a pizza, and I didn't want to call and order food. I didn't want to do any of that. And I'm starting to kind of realize that that was anxiety plaguing me years ago. I still don't like to do that, but now you have online ordering, so I win in that department. That's just kind of where I've been at, mentally just not in the zone. I also just kind of want to let you guys know that if you're ever feeling that way, know you're not alone. I am a big advocate for mental health and making sure that you are doing self-care and you're doing what's best for you. So just know that if I disappear for a little bit, it just might be that. But I'm gonna do my best because this stuff is the stuff that makes me happy. This is the stuff that brings me joy. And so I'm really hoping that now that I'm kind of out of my slump, I will be able to do this more and get back on track with that. With that being said, I do have lots of updates for you guys because even though I necessarily didn't feel like reading, I did read a lot. And once I was kind of over my slump, once my friend left and all of that, I did read a lot. So the books I'm going to show you are the ones that I've read, and then I'll talk to you a little bit about what I'm currently reading. So I finally finished Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. I'm not going to go into too much detail because it is a sequel, and if you haven't read Ninth House, then I certainly don't want to give anything away in this. And so this follows Alex Stern, who is a Dante, and she is in charge of making sure that ghosts don't enter these ceremonies and these rituals that the 9 houses of Yale do. But in the first one, she follows the path of a murder. In this one, I'm not going to go into detail. It's very good. It was very good. It did take me a little bit to get into. I think it's just because it's kind of a chunker. It took a turn that I wasn't necessarily expecting it to take, and it wasn't a bad turn. It wasn't anticipated, but it was good. It did grip me. And it kept me gripped. Definitely towards the end, I didn't want to put it down. Mostly because I was like, oh my God, I'm finishing this. But also because it was really good. So this was good. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, I think. And so I do recommend it if you've read Ninth House. My other recommendation is I read Ninth House in January and then I moved immediately into this one in February. And so I understood everything that was going on. If you have not read Ninth House in a while, you may want to consider doing a reread or at least looking up Cliff Notes or whatever, because this guy has a lot of info that you need to know from Ninth House. But it was really good. I enjoyed it. 4 out of 5 stars. I'm really enjoying Leigh Bardugo's adult writing. Then another book I finished because I listened to it on audiobook, and then when I only had about an hour left in the book, I picked it up off my shelf, and that is The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. I don't know, the lighting is weird. Lighting is weird today. I did finish this one. I listened to most of it, and then when I had about 100 pages left, I just finished it by reading it. It was really good. It's a little repetitive in regards to Evangeline and Jax and kind of what each of them are dealing with and their feelings and their in life. And I'm not going to go crazy into detail because again, this is a sequel. This is a sequel to Once Upon a Broken Heart, where you first meet Evangeline Fox and you meet Jax, the Prince of Hearts, I think. And he's a fate and his kisses are poisonous except for his one true love. And he has met his one true love. I'm not going to get into the detail about that because it's in another book of Stephanie Garber's. So the first book follows Evangeline Fox and Jax, and she goes to him to try to basically not feel anything anymore, and he has his own plans, his own intentions, and things go kind of haywire in the first one, and then this one just follows up. And I will say this one ends on quite the little cliffhanger, and it really annoys me because the next one doesn't come out until like September. So clearly I maybe should have held off reading this a little longer. So Stephanie Garber, I'm gonna need that book. It's really good. I did give it 4 out of 5 stars, I think. I love this world. I just genuinely love the world building that Stephanie Garber does. I felt that way when reading Caraval and Legendary and Finale. I feel that way in this book. It's easy to read. It is simple to read. There isn't an abundance of information that is something maybe you wouldn't understand. It does enough of like a recap that maybe you don't have to reread Once Upon a Broken Heart. And I had read that last year, so I jumped right into this one and I got back on track pretty easily. The audiobook was good. I feel like whoever audio narrated this book narrated another book I liked a lot, and I don't remember which one, but I could also be wrong. Stephanie Garber is just a unique author in the way her stories connect and combine, and it's interesting to me to see where the stories always end up going. And so yeah, it was good. I enjoyed myself. There were parts where I laughed out loud, There were cringy parts where it's like, oh, that's no good. That's no good. And then just the navigating of relationships is also interesting to me, because Jax is a fate, and you should never trust a fate, because fates are only out for their own good. They're only looking after themselves. And so sometimes Evangeline has to learn that the hard way, and the first one for sure. This one just kind of builds on their friendship, and their not even necessarily friendship, their proximity of one another, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to explain. It's good though. I highly suggest you pick it up. And I also highly suggest you pick up the first one, because it's a good little story. It's, like I said, it's easy to read. It was quick. Like I didn't take long to read it at all. Listen to it either. Like, it was good. It was, and I read on 1.3 times speed, but it was good. I enjoyed myself. So then another book that I actually just finished this morning, while I was eating my breakfast, was Horror Store by Grady Hendrix. So I really like Grady Hendrix. I've always really liked Grady Hendrix. I didn't think I was into the horror genre or thriller genre until I read A Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, which was by Grady Hendrix. And then I read My Best Friend's Exorcism, also by Grady Hendrix. And that one was the favorite book of last year. He just has this unique way of writing a thriller or a horror. And it's the settings that he places them in, it's the sarcasm, it's the wit, it's all of these things that make books like this enjoyable. So, like, for example, A Southern Book Club's Guide was set in Georgia with all these little Georgia peaches and all this kind of stuff, and these women that, you know, didn't want to read the normal book club books, wanted to read something creepy like Dracula or, you know, things of that nature. And it took place in the early 90s, so it had a lot of 90s references. My Best Friend's Exorcism took place in the 80s. So, I mean, the cover of that book looks like a VHS tape. It looks like it stepped out of Stranger Things. Not gonna lie. And then this one, it takes place in a store called Orsk, which is a knockoff IKEA, which he points out pretty frequently. He compares it to IKEA quite a bit. And so there's weird things happening overnight at the store, and no one can explain what's going on the morning when they open. And so there's broken mirrors, there's things on the floor, there's broken couches, there's couches that have been soiled with things we will not discuss. There's all kinds of stuff going on that no one can explain. So the store manager brings on Amy, who is basically who you're following in this story, and Ruth Ann, to stay with him on a night shift to figure out who's breaking into Orsk. And basically, while they're there, Trinity and two other characters show up who think that there's something paranormal going on, whereas the store manager thinks it's just somebody breaking in, and Amy is just there for the money because he's agreed to pay them cash under the table for doing this because they're not getting the sales they need, and it's all this stuff. And so he's got people breathing down his neck to figure out what's going on. They go to the store overnight. Amy is not sure what's going on. She's a little creeped out. It's a little weird. Her life is a little bit of a mess right now. Never graduated college, has a lot of student loan debt, makes minimum wage, struggling with all of that. And she works because she has to. Whereas like her store manager is like, Orsk is awesome. Orsk is this. We're a family. She's like, would you stop? Would you stop? It's just a job. So as they're staying there overnight, weird things start to happen. I'm not going to go into crazy detail because if I do, I'm going to spoil it completely. So weird things start to happen. There are some paranormal things happening inside the store at night. And so they end up getting down to the bottom of it. Everything kind of works itself out. It was creepy. It was what I expected from Grady Hendrix. It was sarcastic and creepy. And it had just the right amount of going on. So I did enjoy it. It was good. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It isn't my favorite Grady Hendrix book because that still goes to My Best Friend's Exorcism, but it was a good one. It definitely was up there in the numbers. My next one I'm going to read, I'm actually doing a buddy read with one of my Fox and Wood pals, and we're going to read How to Sell a Haunted House, and I'm going to start that one tomorrow with her. So very excited. So then now to the books I'm working on. So I'm listening to Supernova by Marissa Meyer. This is book 3, the final book in a trilogy that is based around prodigies or humans with special abilities, superheroes, just to say that, and how there are two different groups of them. There's the renegades who are trying to police the city and are trying to police prodigies and trying to bring peace back, but then you have the anarchists who think that the renegades should not have that kind of power. And there was a huge civil war, and Ace Anarchy was their leader of the anarchists, and he ends up being captured, I guess, or killed, and the renegades take over. And so it's been like that for a really long time. The story follows Nova, whose alias is Nightmare, and she is a anarchist who is actually Ace Anarchy's niece. And so early in the first book, you find out that Nova loses her entire family, and she has it out for the renegades because the renegades promised to keep them safe, and then her family died. Her ability is to put people to sleep, and she never sleeps. So she doesn't sleep during the night, and she can put people to sleep, and that's her power. So in order to try to bring down the renegades, she ends up going undercover as Nova, but also as Insomnia. And her power, she just tells them that her power is she stays up all night. Like, she doesn't sleep. There's nothing about her that does that. And so she ends up going undercover. She ends up getting accepted as a renegade. She ends up making friends. And so there's this part of her that is very much duty to the anarchists, but also these people aren't necessarily as bad as I thought they were. And so there's just this constant battle with herself. The first book, you get introduced to all of that. And then the second book, I can't get into details. And then this one, I can't get into details. So, but this is the third of that in the Prodigy series. And I really like these books because they're different from what I normally read. Like, there's nothing, yes, it's a fantasy, but it's a different kind of fantasy. It's a superhero fantasy. There's no fae, there's no fairies, there's no any of that. It's just superheroes and villains, and who's the villain and who's the superhero and what's actually going on. So I genuinely enjoy these books, and I actually really love the way they're written. And I think Marissa Meyer has done a great job world building and bringing these characters to life in the last two books and still in this one. In this one, I'm not quite halfway through at all. It's still really good. I'm really enjoying listening to it. I don't know if I'll actually pick it up and read it, but for now, I'm just listening to it when I'm running errands and going to work and coming home from work and waiting for my kid to get out of school when I'm in line for 20 minutes. So it's a good one. So then I read one chapter in this so far, but I haven't gone much farther than that. And I picked it up because it's short. It's not even 200 pages, and I've been really wanting to read it. It's Every Heart a Doorway by Shannon McGuire. I haven't, like I said, I'm one chapter in. I haven't really started it. I can't really say that I've started it. But yes, as from my understanding, it's what happens to kids that have fallen into these magical worlds and then are brought back to their own. And this one takes place in it's a school for wayward girls and all of that stuff. And so I'm curious to get into it. I'm curious to see what it's about. Everybody raves about this series of books, so I'm excited to get started into it for real. Do a deep dive. I'm hoping to finish it pretty quickly. Horror Store was 240 something pages and I finished it in 2 days. So I must be finding my stride again, friends. I must be finding my stride. So that's really the only updates I have for you today. It's been pretty chill. I've been working from home, made a lot of calls. I've been participating in the sprints in our haunted library for Foxenwood, and that's been fun. If I'm not reading, then I was doing calls for work. I was sending emails for work, that kind of thing. So it was productivity sprints for me for the most part, and they're still going on, so I may join back in a little bit, but for now though, my lunch is done. I made toasted raviolis. If you're not from the St. Louis area, you don't know what that is, or if you've never visited the St. Louis area, you don't know what that is. And really what it is it's a fried ravioli. So you can get ravioli at any old Italian place, right? But it's usually boiled and it's pasta, but these are deep fried and toasted and crispy and delicious and filled with beef. So I made some of those. So I'm gonna eat my lunch, and then when Charlie gets home, I have to take them to the dentist to get their teeth cleaned. And then I don't really know what's going on tonight. Maybe we'll go to dinner. I don't know. We'll see. But I will also tell you guys that part of my mental health issue is also just not feeling good in my own skin. So my goal, I haven't done anything that I promised myself that I would do for 2023, let's be honest. So my goal is Monday, starting Monday, when Justin and I go grocery shopping, to stick to healthy plans and to get on my bike 3 days a week or go for a walk, because the weather is starting to turn, which is kind of nice, even though it's still doing this thing here in St. Louis that's making my nose that can't figure out what it wants to do. But it is getting nicer out, so I will probably start walking Cadence to school and walking to pick up Cadence on the days that I'm working from home. And then when I walk her to school, I'll take the long way home. I'll get on my bike. I should actually start walking relatively soon with my friends. So that's some accountability that I'm looking forward to and all of that lovely stuff. So here's hoping I get back on track, because I was probably at my happiest during COVID in 2020, when I was walking pretty much every day, was eating really healthy, was doing really good, and I dropped like 25 pounds and I felt really good. My health was great. So trying to get back on track, trying to get back there. Just know you're not alone in anything that is going on. And with me being such an advocate for mental health, feel free to reach out. I will do my best to support you, because we could all use support. We could all use love. We could all use all of that. So hugs to you guys if you're going through something similar and the brain goblins are getting to you. But know you're not alone, and know that we'll get through it. We'll get through it. Things will be okay. It'll be fine. The dumpster's only on fire until someone brings a fire extinguisher. So hopefully you get that fire extinguisher soon. All right, guys, I'll catch up with you later. Bye. Hey friends, happy Saturday. So today is a really fun day. I'm so excited. So if you've been on my channel for a while, you know that my aunt and our friend Deb and I, once a month, we go to an independent bookstore in the area and we book shop. And we have officially basically run out of places in St. Louis to go. So I'm really excited because we're gonna drive about 2 hours away to Columbia and go to a place called Skylark Bookstore, and I'm so excited. It's gonna be such a great day. It's gonna be such a great morning, and I am so excited to bring you with me. So come on, let's go book shopping. happy Monday. It is Monday. The start of a new week, right? So this weekend was pretty chill. We like a chill weekend, right? Yesterday, Cadence had to work a cookie booth, so there's not a whole lot of footage from that because, you know, just my kid. Can't really post about other kids or all that kind of stuff. And so we went to church and we had like a fellowship lunch after church where we recognized the volunteers of our church and all the work that they do and all of that fun stuff. And then I took Cadence to her cookie booth. We worked that for about 2 hours, and then I came home and I curled up and read for the most part for the rest of the evening. So pretty quiet. Justin got me a one of those like hoodie blankets that are really big and really comfy. If you have ever watched How to Train Your Gavin, Gavin has I think a couple actually that he puts on and he wears, and they've got the hood and they've got the fun characters. As an early anniversary present, because Justin and I will be celebrating 8 years of marriage and on March 14th, he got me one of those, but it's Harry Potter and it says Gryffindor and has Hedwig on it and all that kind of stuff. So I have been pretty much just curling up in that every night because the weather has been so funky around here. It's like 1 minute we're cold, the next minute we're not. I'm just like, can we make up our minds? So like today, it is a cloudy, ugly day, but it's actually kind of warm out. So it's like, yesterday, I was standing outside for 2 hours and it got really cold and really windy and I was miserable. I was like chilled to the bone. So we're figuring this out. I think Missouri's trying to figure it out. I hope. Anyway, I am trying to do something different with my bangs. I have been one of those people that have only ever worn their hair down. Like I didn't ever really wear my hair up. I just wore it down all the time, and I had bangs for a really long time like this, like right down my forehead. Since I was a kid, like my mom cut my hair that way. And then as I got older, I just kind of transferred to the swoop to the side, the like emo look. So as I've been getting older, I've been trying to figure out new things to do with my hair. So I've bought these cute little headbands and I've got my little claw clip. And then this morning I was like, well, let me see what I can do with my bangs. So you'll have to let me know what you think down below. Do you like it? Does it look silly? Should I never do it again? Let me know. I kind of like it. I think it's kind of cute. We'll see. I need to get them cut. I need to go to the hairdresser. I need to re-dye my hair. My grays are starting to show. And the pink in my hair is starting to fade. So that is a telltale sign that it is time to go to the hairdresser. So that is pretty much that. So this weekend we did go book shopping, which I'm very excited. I was very excited about. We went to Columbia, which is about 2-hour drive. And we found this really cute bookstore. I'm sure you saw some B-roll of it. It was adorable. I went in looking for specific books, but they didn't have them, which is fine. I'll grab those from like Barnes & Noble or something later this week. And so, but I did pick up 2 books. One, I have heard nothing but good things about the entire series, and I'm sure everybody has read it but me. And it is Finlay Donovan is Killing It by Elle Cosimano. So if you don't know what this is, it's like a thriller mystery. She is a single mom and she is a book author. She's sitting at a lunch talking to her agent about her new plot for a new book, and someone overhears her and misrepresents her, misunderstands, and thinks she is a hitwoman, and so she hires her to kill her husband. So I don't know what happens. Does she do it? Does she not do it? I don't know, but there's 2 more books after this one. So I assume she does something. So I'm really excited to read it. I've heard nothing but good things, and I've been meaning to get my hands on it. So I finally was like, you know what? They don't have the other books I want, so I'll grab this one. I'm really excited. And then I grabbed The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina by Zoraida Cordova. Hopefully I got that right. This is our April book club book for our Fox and Borough book club. So I wanted to go and grab this because the book we're reading for March is super short. And so I was like, well, once I finish that, I'll just start diving into this one. Why not? So this one is the Montoyas are used to a life without explanations, but when their matriarch, Orquídea Divina, invites them to her funeral, they hope to learn the secrets that she has held onto so tightly and their whole lives. Instead, Orquídea is transformed, leaving them with more questions than answers. 7 years later, her gifts have manifested in different ways for Marmar, Ray, and Rhiannon, granting them unexpected blessings. But soon a hidden figure begins to tear through their family tree, seeking to destroy Orchida's line. Determined to save their family and uncover the truth behind their inheritance, they travel to Ecuador, to the place where Orchida buried her secrets and broken promises and never looked back. Alternating between Orchida's past and her descendants' present, the inheritance of Orchida Divina is about what we knowingly and unknowingly inherit from our ancestors, the ties that bind, and reclaiming our power. So I'm actually really excited to read this, and it was blurbed by V.E. Schwab. So if you've been paying any attention to me, then you know that V.E. Schwab is one of my favorite authors. I actually just lent Vicious to my husband's coworker Brandon. Shout out to Brandon. And he is reading it, and he said, last I heard from Justin said he was like 90 pages in and he's loving it. So I'm telling you, V.E. Schwab, Vicious and Vengeful, get your hands on them. They're fantastic. So now let's give you a reading update. So I started and finished Every Heart a Doorway. This was beautifully written. I don't know what I went in expecting of this book, but Seanan McGuire delivered a very almost heart-wrenching look at understanding, like, sometimes we have to lose the things we love to make things work where we are. And it was really interesting to me. Basically, you're following Nancy, who showed up at this house for wayward children, and it's a group of kids, mostly girls, that have gone to other portals, other dimensions, and have lived these epic lives, these epic stories, and for some reason, they have come back. And so think of like Alice in Wonderland, which is mentioned in here, and all of these things, something like that, and then what happens to those kids when they come back, and how they're going to adjust to life in a normal society, especially when all of them want to go back to their home, which is the realm they were living in. And each of them, Seanan McGuire represents them in different ways. There's logic, and there's nonsense, and there's wickedness, and there's virtue, and there's all these different labels that she has for these worlds. So a lot of the kids have come from like nonsense worlds. There's a kid that used to skate on rainbows. Sumi, who is one of the main characters in this story, she came from a Candyland type. And then you have Cade, who was living in this world that was more logic than nonsense, and he was built up to become this prince. But the interesting thing about Cade is he isn't who you think he is. He's a great person. He's a great character. He's wonderful. But there's something about him, and I don't really want to say what it is because I don't want to give it away, but there is a reason he is basically thrown out of his world. And as much as he wants to go back, he knows he's not welcome back. And so it's really hard for him to deal with that aspect as well. And so you're watching Nancy kind of go through the motions of coming back to this world and trying to understand more about like her parents, but like even her parents are like, you're not the kid that we raised. And when they send her to this school, she puts on a bunch of like dark colored clothing because she came from the underworld. So she put all these dark colored clothing in her bag, and they replaced it with all the bright sunshiny stuff she used to wear. So she's struggling with the acceptance of her family and how she just wants to go home because she doesn't feel like home is with her family anymore. And so she's trying to adjust, she's going to classes, and all of these things start happening while she's trying to, I guess, re-engage with the world. Some of the kids end up like dying, and it's just this like crazy little trip, and it's about the lengths you will go to get back to where you feel like you belong. And it is beautifully written. I think I gave it 4 stars, which is good for me. It's beautifully written. It's an interesting concept, and it's like what lessons do you have to learn to get back to what you love? And so it was really good. I mean, it was super short, and I do plan on reading the rest of them, little novellas, but it's good. I highly suggest it. I've never read anything by Seanan McGuire, and this was really beautifully written. And the world building, and it's really interesting because there are so many different worlds, how Seanan McGuire how she managed to really bring them all to life and give you kind of an idea of what kids were dealing with. And so it's good. It's very good. It's beautifully written. It has some really great little one-liners in it. So I highly suggest you pick it up. So now, without further ado, I am going to start Grady and Hendrix's How to Sell a Haunted House. I am reading this with two of my fellow Fox and Wood Patreons. Shout out. And so I'm really excited to do a buddy read with them. I've been wanting to get into this. I've heard so many different things. Like, some people are like, it's amazing. Some people are like, it's not that good. And some people are like, well, if you liked My Best Friend's Exorcism and you liked Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, then you'll love this one. And I'm hoping that that's the case, because My Best Friend's Exorcism is my favorite Grady Hendrix book so far. So I'm very excited to get into this. So I will for sure be doing that. Oh, found a bookmark. That's on my agenda to try to get done, which I'm very excited for. So yeah, today I have to work from home. I think Justin and I are going grocery shopping later. He had to run to the DMV because we bought a used truck for him, and he has to get it licensed and all of that. And it all kind of spiraled out of control this morning. Like, he thought it would be a simple little trip to the DMV, but nope. He has to run to the dealership and get something. So I have been working this morning while I'm waiting for him to get home, and then him and I will run and go grocery shopping, and then I will come home and work some more and hopefully get some reading in later. Tonight, Cadence has a Girl Scout meeting. I feel like I say that all the time, but it is. It's like every other week she has a Girl Scout meeting. So I will be taking her to that. Charlie is going to go to Laundry Love, which is that lovely little outreach program that my church does with families who have low income and can't really afford to do their laundry. We pay to do their laundry for the most part, and it's an opportunity to connect with the people in our community, try to get an idea of what their needs are, and Charlie really likes volunteering with that. So they are gonna go do that tonight. I'm gonna take Cadence to her Girl Scout meeting, and then hopefully I'm gonna come home and like prop my feet up and read for a bit. We'll see how it goes. So I will check in with you guys later. I think I'm gonna get a snack and check in on some emails and maybe watch some booktube videos I missed. I guess we'll see. I guess we'll find out. So hope you guys are having a good Monday, and I will check in with you later. Bye. Hey guys, happy Monday night. Please ignore my hair and everything about it. I am getting ready to go to bed, and it's been kind of a long day. So I'm gonna go and wash my face and go to bed pretty early tonight. But I wanted to give you guys a bit of an update. So I am on chapter 9 of How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. And this man is a genius. I don't know what else to say. He is deep diving into sibling relationships that are very strained, and what happens when your parents die. So basically, Louise and Mark are siblings, and Louise has lived in California since she graduated high school. She moved out to California for school, and then Mark has always lived in Charleston, which is where this book takes place. But Mark has always been that sibling that is like, gets away with everything. He can do no wrong, but in fact, like, he drinks a lot. He pays into these big schemes and all this kind of stuff. So mom and dad die unexpectedly, and now the two of them are forced to try to work together, and it's not going well, as you can imagine. And Louise also has a daughter who is struggling at home, and so you're getting kind of a little bit of everything from every side. And it's only chapter 9, and Grady Hendrix is already setting up the creep factor. So mom used to be a puppeteer. Mom used to use puppets to tell Bible stories, and she did little children's things, and she went to puppet conventions and all of this stuff. And so of course this house has a bunch of puppets in it. I can only imagine where that's going to go. I'm not sure. I don't know if I'll be reading this as I'm falling asleep at night, but I guess we'll find out, because some creepy things have already happened, and it's very interesting. There's not so much humor in this one so far. There is an Aunt Honey who is very funny. She's like the matriarch of the family, and she's pretty funny, and she's pretty sarcastic, which is nice. She's like your little bit of your comic relief, which is good. So right now, Louise is struggling with her parents having passed and having to deal with that and being an orphan and all of these things, while also dealing with her spoiled, rotten brother. Baby brother. He's the baby. So you can imagine how well it's going. So yes, I am enjoying it. It is good. I love his writing style. And in the beginning, he did a note from the author. And in it, he talks about how this is the last book in kind of his series of books that he's doing set in his hometown, so in Charleston. My Best Friend's Exorcism was set in Charleston in the 80s, and then Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires was set in Charleston in the 90s, and then this one is set present day in Charleston. And he talks in his author's note about a friend of his and how he died, and so they were trying to help his wife get everything out of the house, and they were bagging everything up and taking it to thrift shops and Goodwill and things of that nature for her, and how he was this big collector and his wife was overwhelmed, so they were trying to help. He kind of got the inspiration for this story from that, because his friend kind of looks at him and says, "Is this it?" And he's like, "What do you mean? We spend all this money tracking down posters and buying stuff and building collections, and it all winds up in garbage bags getting dumped on the street." Well, yes, pretty much is what Grady Hendrix says. So then he says, "The things the dead leave behind linger like a curse. They hang around like ghosts, and they put us in a terrible position. We have to get rid of them or we'll be buried by the past, but every single item we put in the trash means there's that much less left behind of the people we loved. Throwing away their things feels like erasing their memories. It feels like exorcising their ghosts." And it's like, that kind of stuck with me, because I was like, yeah, you're not wrong. We make jokes about it in my family sometimes. Like when my aunt was starting to empty her kitchen, we ran into a couple of things that were like her mom's and then her mom's mom, so my grandma and my great grandma's. And she's like, "Well, I don't want to get rid of these, but I don't want them in my cabinets, my new cabinets either." And so she was going to put them in a box and put them downstairs. And I just kind of laughed. I said, "Oh yeah, for me to deal with later." And she's like, "Well, you know." And so we make jokes about that, but it's like, that's very true. Like, there's things you don't want to get rid of and things of that nature. And then he said, "Families are shaped by their stories, the ones we tell and the ones we hide. We can ignore them and silence them and pretend they're not there, but these stories keep coming back to haunt us for the rest of our lives, whether we acknowledge them or not." That could sound like sheer bone-chilling horror, but for me, it sounds like a comfort. And that's also something that I think about a lot, is there's lots of the stories in my family that came out long after I was old enough to really understand them. And I'm sure there's stories that I don't know that maybe they don't want to tell me. And so it's like, I think about that sometimes too. Like, what stories am I leaving behind? What am I hiding behind? That kind of thing. So, and it says, "No matter where we go, no matter how far we travel, no matter how dark it gets or how alone we feel, we're never without the company of our ghosts. Invited or not, they surround us and shape us, haunt us and guide us, providing us with warnings and inspiration and even friendship. Our stories, our ghosts, stay with us all the days of our lives until eventually, one day, we join their ranks and finally become stories too." See, that's why I love Grady Hendrix. Like, those were just in his author's notes. Those lines were just in his author's notes. Then they stuck with me and they resonated with me. So I'm enjoying it. I'm having a good time so far. I can't promise that when I get farther in this book, I'm going to be telling you I'm having a good time. I might be having a very creeped out time, but we'll find out. So I'm going to wash my face. I'm going to head to bed pretty early. I mean, it's only 8:45. So yes, I am going to head to bed and then wash my face. I have to be in the office tomorrow. So I packed my lunch. I started packing my lunch a little. I'm going to have a salad, deli meat, that kind of stuff, so that I don't have to really worry about that tomorrow when I'm trying to get Cadence up ready for school so my dad can come over and take her to school. So there's that. So like I said, brush my teeth, wash my face, and I'm gonna go to bed, and I will catch up with you guys tomorrow. Good night. Redundancy at its finest, friends. I love my Foxen family. Hey friends, how we doing? How's it going? So I'm in my car, if you couldn't tell, and I snuck out of work just a wee bit early, which I will probably make up for tonight, because I placed an order at Barnes & Noble because 1, I have no self-control, 2, I needed a serotonin boost, and 3, I had a coupon. So I placed an order at Barnes & Noble, and so I'm gonna run and get that before I have to run and get Cadence, and I figured maybe you'd want to come along with me. So off we go. Hey guys, happy Thursday. Not Thursday, Wednesday. So I did not get to go to Barnes & Noble and pick up my order yesterday. We had a bit of a family emergency, which I'm not gonna go into detail on here. It's not really my place to say anything. Just know that everybody is okay and we are all kind of where we need to be at the moment. To those of you that do know, to all my Patreon friends over there, thank you for the love and the support. I definitely appreciate it. But we are okay. We are doing okay. Everybody's okay. But yeah, so I am going to run to Barnes & Noble now and then maybe just browse around a little bit just to try to get my serotonin back up. And then, yeah, so I did not read anything last night. I started to read on my Kindle Anastasia by Sophia Lark. I did not get far. I also started to read the Psalm of the Wild Built, but I couldn't focus really on that as well as I should have been able to, so I didn't get real far into that either. I'm probably gonna have to start it over if I'm being honest. So yeah, I didn't get any farther into How to Sell a Haunted House or anything like that. I've gotten a little bit farther into Supernova in my car, but I think today I'm just gonna listen to music in the car instead of listening to a book, and because I'm just not sure if I'd be able to focus enough right now. That is my plan. I'm gonna run to Barnes & Noble and pick up my order and maybe wander around just a little bit. First, I'm gonna go get a coffee. And then tonight it's starting our Lenten services at church as we lead up to Easter. And I know that not everybody believes and not everybody has faith, and that's totally fine. I don't judge you at all, but I'm gonna go to my service tonight. I'm gonna take Cadence with me, and I'm just gonna be surrounded by people that love me and know that I love them, and gonna talk a little bit about my faith, and hopefully that'll help a bit on everything else. So if you don't have a faith and you don't, believe in anything, I'm not gonna judge you on that. That's your life, that's your choice. Like, I'm not here to make decisions for you. I don't think anybody should make decisions for anybody else. That's just, I'm not gonna get onto that soapbox. I've already gotten onto that soapbox in the last couple weeks. I just don't really want to get back onto it now, but that's just where I'm at, and that's just how I feel. And so I'm gonna go and do that tonight. I did take the day off, so I'm gonna hopefully read a little bit. Cadence gets out of school at 1:50, so I will have to go get her, but otherwise it's gonna hopefully be kind of a quiet day. And then Justin is napping, so after I go to Barnes & Noble, I'm gonna come home, I'm gonna grab him, and I think we're gonna get some lunch together before we have to pick up Cadence. So there is that. So join me on my little rendezvous, won't you? I hope you guys are having a good day, and I will catch up with you later. Bye. Look at these exclusive editions with the sprayed edges. I already have these books, but I could sell the ones I have. They're so pretty. Look at that. Oh, the temptation. Yes, ma'am. I have a problem. So, note to self, don't go to the bookstore when you're sad. I should have known that. So, let's do an in-car book haul, shall we? All right, here we go. So, let's do what I ordered and was supposed to pick up yesterday, but was unable to. I ordered What Lies in the Woods by Kate Alice Marshall. This was on one of my most anticipated reads for 2023. I really enjoyed Rules for Vanishing by Kate Alice Marshall, and this one just sounded really intriguing. It says, Naomi Shaw used to believe in magic. 22 years ago, she and her two best friends, Cassidy and Olivia, spent the summer roaming the woods, imagining a world of ceremony and wonder, the Goddess Game. The game became an obsession and a refuge for the three girls. That sanctuary was suddenly shattered when Naomi was attacked. Miraculously, she survived her 17 stab wounds and lived to identify the man who hurt her. The girls' testimony put away a serial killer, wanted for murdering 6 women. They were heroes, and they were liars. For decades, the friends have kept a secret that might be worth killing for hidden in the forest. But now, Olivia wants to tell the whole story. Then she goes missing, and Naomi sets out to find out what really happened in the woods. No matter how dangerous the truth turns out to be. I'm excited for that one. Then I also ordered Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I am hoping that this is comfort, cozy kind of stuff. This was an anticipated read for several people. I don't think I put it on mine, but I've been hearing wonderful things about it, so I wanted to get my hands on it because I'm in a comfy, cozy, or thriller mood, like fantasy, thriller, horror. I'm not feeling romance right now, but I am feeling like I want some fun stuff. So this says, Cambridge professor Emily Wilde is a genius scholar who is writing the world's first encyclopedia of fairy lore, and Emily lives for her work. She emphatically prefers the company of her books, her dog, Shadow, and the fair folk to other people. So when she arrives in a hardscrabble village in the far north, Emily wishes only to focus on her studies. She certainly doesn't have time for another new arrival. Her dashing and insufferably handsome academic rival, Wendell Bambleby, who manages to charm the townsfolk, muddle Emily's research, and utterly confound and frustrate her. But as Emily gets closer and closer to uncovering the secrets of the hidden ones, the most elusive of all fairies, lurking in the shadowy forest outside of town, she also finds herself on the trail of another mystery. Who is Wendell Bambleby, and what does he really want? To find the answer, she must unlock her greatest mystery of all, her own heart. So yes, this is a romance, but I love the fairy lore stuff and the academic piece. So it's got the fantasy that I want. What I don't want is like Tessa Bailey. What I don't want, as much as I love Tessa Bailey, I don't want Tessa Bailey. I just am not in the mood for like Emily Henry. I'm not in the mood for like the cartoon cover romances right now. So I'm going to be focusing on fantasies, and yes, 9 times out of 10 that includes romance, and I'm going to focus on horrors, but hopefully this is lovely. Okay, so those are the 2 things I ordered yesterday. So now for the books I got today with a coupon. I still had coupons. So that was fun. So I went ahead and I grabbed a book for Cadence. We love Bluey in our house. If you haven't seen Bluey because you don't have kids, then you're not fully gonna understand what I mean, but Bluey is a healer, an Australian healer dog, and it's her and her sister Bingo, and then her mom and her dad, who all live in a house, and there's always some kind of lesson to learn in these shows. It's on Disney. We watch it on Disney Plus, and it's very cute, and the kids get the fun aspects and they see all the games and all of that, but it also teaches them how to be kind to each other and how sometimes you lose and you just have to be okay with that. But then it also shows you some interesting things about parenthood. So yeah, it's good. It's very good. It's very cute. So she has one book. She has several Bluey books, but one of them that she has is camping, because she really wants to go camping, and that's like her favorite episode. So I went ahead and grabbed Bluey Easter. I'm gonna put it in her Easter basket, I think. So I'm gonna hold on to it. And then for myself, I grabbed The Cruel Prince. I have never read this. I have been intrigued by it. There's lots of back and forth about whether or not it's any good, and the people that I like on BookTok or BookTube, like Olivia Reads a Latte and Lexi, of course, they seem to like it, so I figured I'll give it a chance. And then I grabbed another one that I've heard things about that are good, and it's Serpent and Dove, but it was buy one get one 50% off, so I grabbed this one as well. And then because of Olivia Reads a Latte and her absolute love of this book and how much she has pushed it, I grabbed This Woven Kingdom by Tahereh Mafi. So this one is forbidden romances, steams up the pages, so it is like a romance, but it's also fantasy, which is what I was looking for. I don't know exactly when I'll even get around to reading it, but we'll see. But Olivia Reads a Latte has a lot of wonderful things to say about this book, so I went ahead and grabbed it. I trust her opinion completely. She's the one that got me into Grady Hendrix, so shout out, Olivia Reads a Latte. And then I grabbed Anatomy. I know the sequel to this just recently came out, so I wanted to go ahead and grab it. I've been wanting to grab it, so I grabbed it. And someone mentioned it on our Fox and Wood Discord, so I'm excited. It sounds very good, and also a little creepy, which I like. A gothic tale full of mystery and romance. Hazel Sinnott is a lady who wants to be a surgeon more than she wants to marry. Jack Kerr is a resurrection man who's just trying to survive in a city where it's too easy to die. Sorry, I had to adjust the camera because it tried to tell me my storage was full. So, as I was saying, when the two of them have a chance encounter outside the Royal Edinburgh Anatomist Society, Hazel thinks nothing of it at first, but after she gets kicked out of renowned surgeon Dr. Beechman's lectures for being the wrong gender, she realizes that her new acquaintance might be more helpful than she first thought, because Hazel has made a deal with Dr. Beechman. If she can pass the medical examination on her own, he will allow her to continue her medical career. Without official lessons, though, Hazel will need more than just her books. She will need corpses to study. Luckily, she's made the acquaintance of someone who digs them up for a living. But Jack has his own problems. Strange men have been seen skulking around the cemeteries, his friends are disappearing off the streets, and the dreaded Roman fever, which wiped out thousands a few years ago, is back with a vengeance. Nobody important cares until Hazel. Now Hazel and Jack must work together to uncover the secrets buried not just in unmarked graves, but in the very heart of Edinburgh society. I'm excited. We'll see when I get to that, but yeah, so there you have it. I have a problem, and I'm putting myself on a book ban until April when we go book shopping again, because we don't have time in March really to do any book shopping, so we're gonna go twice in April. So I have a problem. So now I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna get my husband, we're gonna go to lunch, and then yeah, I'm gonna hide those.